Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Dan Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's talk about tonight's episode of NXT. This was a great one, and it's never a dull moment with NXT. We opened up the show with Jaspar attacking Oba Femi in the parking lot, choke slamming him through the car. Wild opening. But let's talk about some of the new stuff that's been going on. So, we have some new people coming on the scene. Formerly known as Mariah May, she has changed her name. Everybody's got to change their name when they come to NXT. Who has Ethan Page is the only person to come from us from AEW and still have his full name and nickname. I know this because earlier today I watched him in a tag team match with Sting and Darby Allin from All Double or Nothing 2021. He still had his name and all ego, and he brought that to NXT. He's one of the few people who has not changed his name that came from AEW to WWE, which means he or someone else before all of this has had his own name owned, which means he doesn't have to change his name. But they own the rights to the name Mariah May, so she has to change. But we still know who she is, and she has decided to bring some of her provocative attitude, but not too provocative because WWE has to keep everything PG. Of course, we'll be seeing her next week. The women were very busy tonight as Lash Legend scored a victory despite Kalani Jordan being at ringside to watch. Also, with the women, we're going to see a lot of these women in action next week, including Jada Parker, one of my favorites, Lola Vice, another favorite, Jordan Grace, another cool one. A lot of them are going to be in action next week. We saw JC Jane in action tonight in a very extremely great match with Miss Reed. That was a phenomenal match in my personal opinion. One of two good matches. As a matter of fact, I think NXT had two good matches, and both involved the Women's World Championship and the NXT Men's World Championship. And we saw JC Jane be very successful. And I must point out that Booker T sure does choose people quickly. Now that Stephanie Vaquer is on Monday Night Raw, Booker T is now fully for JC Jane. And by the way, I think Booker T, I should probably do a funny short one day. And in this funny short, I will say who the commentators were for. Jerry Law was for anything blonde with the exception of the cat. Not Ernest Cat from WCW, by the way. Jerry Law was for the cat and anyone else that was blonde. Corey Graves was crazy for Mandy Rose before Carmella came along. Wade Barrett was crazy for Mandy, and Booker T is crazy for Stephanie Vaquer. Now that Stephanie Vaquer is out of the picture on NXT, he has to be crazy for JC James. All the villainous or heel sympathizing commentators have a woman, good or bad, to be crazy for. Nonetheless, moving forward, congratulations JC Jane, but she has a lot of trouble ahead of her. We saw earlier tonight that Javon Evans really needs some action because he keeps getting involved in other stuff, so he needs to be in action because he's just a busybody. I still think he's cool, but he's a busybody sometimes. Speaking of Javon Evans, one of his former rivals, Ethan Page, was in action tonight and was successful. However, we saw Ricky Saints, who is no longer Starks, but Saints, come in and attack Ethan. Now, those two have their issues, and because of what Ethan did, Ricky Saints can barely talk. Nonetheless, I want to see them go at it in the near future. However, again, Ethan Page is the only one that kept his full real name. However, let's talk about this main event. This main event was on fire. Jasper Troy versus Oba Femi. He was already attacked backstage, choke slammed through a car, breaking the windshield. Oba Femi refused to stay down, and not only did he refuse to stay down, but that might have been one of the best NXT matches that I have seen so far this year. One of the top matches that once again involved Oba Femi. We had the the second rope, by the way, the second rope broke. They put that back together during the commercial break, picture in picture. I have never seen anyone manhandle Oba Femi like Jasper Troy did. On that same token, because it's Oba Femi, Jasper Troy got manhandled as well, even breaking the barricades. It took two fall from grace power bombs to defeat Jasper Troy, because the first one, the referee caught his shoulder out. I did not see that, but the ref caught it. It took two to keep him down. But I need to point something out. I don't know if the choke slam is one of Jasper's finishers, but it's not being, but to me, the choke slam is not being put as a massive move like it used to. These two men right here, they made that move look like no one was getting up. Now there were times that people kicked out of the Undertaker's tombstone, and I mean choke slam, and there were times where the Undertaker just choke slammed people and then went for the tombstone just to make sure they would stay down. But there were times where the choke slam kept people down, and I'm starting to think, I just want to give you guys a small note that I'm starting to think that the choke slam is being taken lightly now, because all the big wrestlers are doing it, but it's not keeping people down like it used to. I'm just saying, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments what you think. In the meantime, I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and that's all the time I have for you today. I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. And be sure to check out my community posts, because throughout the week I will be posting some pretty cool stuff. Some of you have already seen what I have posted today. Tomorrow I will give you another great post of some memories from this past weekend. So please stay tuned for that. Until next time, have a great week, everyone.